Everybody, this is 𝘬𝘀𝘾 with 𝑘𝙀𝑒𝑙𝑠ilverpros.com. Welcome to the live stream. We're broadcast from the great state of Texas and take no BS. It is August 8th, 2023, and we're going to bring you a nice report on something from the World Gold Council and how much gold the banks are buying. They're betting big time on gold. Remember, sound check works. Remember that we have a poll up, and the poll today is central banks are pretty open about selling dollars for gold. Are you doing the same or no? You got 4 choices there. Please vote in that poll. Remember that super chats are open if you want to ask a question, get my attention, get a guaranteed answer, along with also helping the program. We definitely appreciate that as well. Thank you, everybody, for joining in. Thank you for streaming in. We've got a lot of people in here right now. It looks like we'll add some more here in the next few minutes. Okay, without further ado, let's jump on it. We've got some data and we want to go through that. You know that we're a very data heavy sort of channel. It's just what we do here. So we're looking at a report from CNBC talking about central bank gold demand. This is a little bit of an old report. It was back on May 5th, but I wanted to highlight it because I'm going to show you a continuation of a trend from 2022 and a new report out from the World Gold Council, basically edifying what's going on. And it's really cool. It says here on CNBC, quote, central bank gold demand hits first quarter record, investments surge on U.S. banking turmoil. So remember back to the spring when you had the failure of some of those banks, and then, oh yeah, the central banks were buying gold. What did they know about the banking system about the time that Silvergate, SVB, Credit Suisse, First Republic, and all of those regional and even big commercial banks started to fail? What were the central banks doing? Well, they were buying gold, and not only were they buying gold as all of that was happening in the banking system, but they bought it all in 2022. Let's talk about that. It says here from CNBC, in the 3 months at the end of March, that would be 2023, central banks had added 228 tons to global reserves, the highest rate of purchases seen in a first quarter since the data series began in 2000. So what that means is you take the first 3 months of the year, every single year, the first quarter, this was the most gold buying since 2000 in the first quarter. So in other words, they started off the year on fire, historically speaking, over the past 23 years. Further, it says here, significant gold-backed ETF inflows in March, driven by fears of systemic risk in the U.S. economy, partially offset outflows over the first 2 months of the year. According to the article, demand for gold among central banks notched a first quarter high in the 3 months end of March and painted an otherwise mixed picture, according to the World Gold Council. Gold prices broke through 2,000 per ounce barrier this week. This is back in May, and are flirting with record highs as global economic uncertainty, a possible Federal Reserve interest rate hikes, and potential further trouble in the U.S. banking sector drive investors toward the precious metals. The World Gold Council's quarterly gold demand trends report, published Friday, again, this is back in May, showed demand was down 13% in the first quarter for the same period last year, though base effects were in play. Total gold demand, however, is up 1% for the first quarter of 2022, thanks to recovery in the OTC markets. In other words, overall gold demand was up. The World Gold Council demand among central banks expects demand to moderate this year after 2022 spike. In 2022, by the way, was the largest in history of central bank buying. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, the largest in history. And we're going to go to the second part of our story today, where we look at a recent report, actually back in May 2023, Central Bank Gold Reserves Survey by the World Gold Council. It says here, following a historical high of central bank gold buying, gold continues to be viewed favorably by central banks. Our 2023 survey revealed that 24% of central banks intend to increase their holdings in the next 12 months. That would be now and in the future. Furthermore, central banks' views towards the future role of the U.S. dollar were more pessimistic than in previous surveys. By contrast, their views toward gold's future role were more optimistic, with 62% of the central banks saying that gold will have a greater share of total reserves compared to 46% last year. What's going on? Bearish dollar, bullish gold, central banks. This is not a gold company. This is not people trading on the gold market. These are the central banks, which, what is their primary asset? That would be, I don't know, cash. And they're going to hold less and go more gold. What does that tell you about how the central bank feels about their own product, cash? They're not bullish on their own product. If you were a company in the U.S. and you came out and said, you say you sell Ford trucks, and you said, you know what, we're going to sell Fords and we're going to go with more Chevys. What in the hell do you think that would do to the market of 4 F-150s? It just seems counterintuitive, but hey, at least the central banks are being honest here, and I appreciate that. This chart that we have up on the screen is cool. It says half of central banks surveyed believe the percentage of reserves in the US dollar in 5 years will be between 40 and 50%, while just over a quarter believe it remain unchanged. Between 40 and 50, this is the dominant response here. Half. So between 40 and 50. Well, what does that mean, Rob? Is 40 to 50% of global reserves in the dollar bad? I don't know. Is there data out there? Let's take a look. Oh, here we go. I've showed you this table before. This is from the IMF. This was last printed on June 30th, 2023. It's about a month old, but it's really cool because it tells you, well, how much is in the dollar right now? Well, the dollar down here is in dark blue. So we hover over right at this moment, at least at the end of June, dollars made up almost 60% of world currency reserves. 60%. Well, what did the central bank say it would be in 5 years? Between 40 and 50. That could be a drop of between 9 and 19% in 5 years. What? Well, what does the data say has been happening the last year? Well, remember this chart I showed you before. Total foreign exchange reserves in dollars in Q1 of 2022 was $6.868 trillion. In Q1 of this year, a year later, $6.5 trillion. It went down $300 billion. It's already falling. And they think it's going to fall more. Trend, sell dollars, buy gold. Sell dollars, buy gold. What about the buy gold part? A majority of central banks, in the same study by the World Gold Council, expect a slight increase in the proportion of total gold reserves being denominated in gold over the next 5 years, with developing economies primarily driving this view. Who has the biggest currency problems in the world right now? It's the developing economies. Why? Because they don't have the dollar. And when we print too many dollars, it blows up those countries' currencies. We're exporting inflation, and they tend to have major currency issues. Yeah, that's why they said they expect to put more gold, because the dollar ain't cutting it, ladies and gentlemen. The dollar's blowing up their currency. Yeah, they're gonna have to sell their currency for gold, but they're also dumping their dollar reserves, but probably because they're pissed off at the dollar blowing up their currency, but also because they see the writing on the wall. The dollar's been printed way too much. They're not buying treasuries, ladies and gentlemen. They're not out there buying diamonds. Okay, they're not buying rare earths or whatever else you can think is valuable. They're not buying Ford F-150s. They're buying gold. What are they buying? They're buying gold. Here you go. This right here. What have we been saying the last few years about what would happen when the currency revalues and people change allocations? The central banks are buying this stuff. The central banks, the most powerful financial institutions in the world, are doing what? They're buying gold. And they're selling what? Dollars. Historical position remains the most relevant factor in organizational decisions to hold gold. In other words, if you had historically been strong gold, you're even stronger gold now. History matters, ladies and gentlemen. That's what that tells you. History matters. It doesn't always repeat, but it sure as heck rhymes. And people remember the past. What was the most stable asset, monetary asset in the past for 5,000 years? Is this yellow metal right here? It's called gold, okay? People are going to what they know. During crises, people go to what? To what they know. Performance during times of crisis, 47%. Long-term store of value, 30%. What do we always say about gold and silver? Everybody in the community is like, well, it's been money for 5,000 years. It performs well in times of crisis. It's a long-term store of value and inflation hedge, an effective portfolio diversifier, no default risk. What does that mean? No counterparty risk. You can't default on metal in physical form. If you have it, this doesn't default. There's no default risk. Hello. High liquidity asset? Yeah, because it's easy to sell. Because why? All these other things. That's why people go to gold. This is the central banks, the most powerful financial institutions in the world, telling you why gold. I don't know how many times I've been harping on gold for the last couple of weeks because it's become, not because I'm smarter than anybody else, but it's become so obvious. But everybody's saying it right now. What else? Welcome, 𝘎𝙀𝘾𝙊𝙀𝙀 to the chat. Tears for Beers, like that name. 𝘬𝘊𝘾𝙊𝙀𝘾, dude, that's a good one. Randall McMurphy, thank you everybody for joining the chat. Appreciate that. You guys joining the program. It's so much fun. I love doing this. If you told me I was going to do this for a living 10 years ago, I said you're nuts. 7 in 10 central bank survey believe that gold reserves will increase in the next 12 months. This is a 10-point increase from last year. 2022, 61%. Now 71. You see that trend? 2020 during the pandemic, it got up to 75. During times of stress, what do the central banks go to? Do I have to say it? Gold. I'm telling you. People are like Bitcoin, diamonds, more fiat currencies, central bank digital currencies. The central banks aren't going to buy central bank digital currency and put them on their asset. They're buying this. This is what's going to underlie the entire system, including the central bank digital currencies. Well, why would you invest in CBDCs if you can go straight for the base of this is the foundation. This is the concrete to your house, your financial house. Okay, without the concrete, your house is going to fall down. You build it straight on clay soil and you got problems, ladies and gentlemen. You got to build a foundation. Gold is the foundation. Okay, get it? There you go. It's already started. They're already dumping the dollar. And what are they buying? More gold. They're buying more gold. Take a quick look at the poll and see how you guys are doing there. As I look at it, 40% of you say you're buying both gold and silver. Remember the poll question. Central banks are pretty open about selling dollars for gold. Are you doing the same? 40% of you said, we're buying both gold and silver. 30% said, yeah, I'm buying gold. 26% said, just silver, which I'm cool with that. It's a precious metal. I would get some gold, but I'm not your financial advisor. And 3% said, forget gold. It's a relic. Well, if it's a relic, why is central banks buying it? I think that's, pretty obvious there. In any case, back to the share, ladies and gentlemen, because we're going to talk about a group that we have been a part of that we want to introduce to you. Now, I realize not everybody is on Reddit, but Reddit is a great forum. I go there all the time for how-tos. It's kind of like YouTube. I ask a question like, how do you do this? Or how do I do that? Like automotive repair questions, home questions, even financial questions. I'll go ask or I'll go read. Recently, I think about adopting a dog, and I've been on Reddit looking for, suggestions on types. Well, there's a forum called United for Sound Money. It is the intersection of sound money between technology and gold and silver. We happen to facilitate this. It is sponsored and run by Citizens for Sound Money, a group that we're very proud to be a part of. We're the administrators of this forum. It's a wonderful forum. We really enjoy it. Been out for a couple of months, and we think that you guys would get a lot towards it. Why would you join Reddit? What? Reddit, Rob? Because it's a forum. I used to be on forums all the time back in the day, back before we had graphical internet, before Netscape, before pictures on the internet. What were there? There were bulletin boards, which are basically what? Forums. And this is where you communicate with people around the world. I remember doing, oh my God, you stick this modem thing and you dial, it goes, all the screeching noise, and you get on there and you talk to people, and you can talk to people across the world. I was so addicted. I had not owned a computer until really I got to college and started learning this stuff. Anyway, forums are popular. They've been around forever. We love them. And guess what? We're doing a giveaway. If you're interested in free silver, we're running a contest. But before we run this will be our third one. But before we run our third silver giveaway, we're asking you who to reward, the top poster, a meme competition, or some other. Please go to United for Sound Money on Reddit and vote in that poll and become a part of the community. We love that community. And by the way, you can win free silver. That's pretty darn cool. We think you guys will like that. If you're big proponents of gold, silver, and you like joining online communities, well, there is one for you, ladies and gentlemen, to join. And we appreciate everybody voting in the poll. We're going to go ahead and end that now. And just know, if you want a safe place to go for a forum on gold and silver and talking about all of its forms, go to United for Sound Money. We would love to have you guys there. It's a great little place. It's a safe place on Reddit. We got the rules written such that we're not going to have the bad guys come in It will be a wonderful place where you can express your opinion. That is going to be the report for today, guys. This is a little bit of a short one, but I just wanted to focus on gold because I think heading into the reset, gold has become super important. So I'm doing a lot of gold focused stuff right now just to get the word out that gold could be very, very important to the global financial system coming up. And any piece of data I get around gold, I want to put on the channel. Now, we still love silver and we still love a lot of other things investment wise as well. But the focus right now to me, given what I think is going to come with the massive failures in the debt system, we're going to focus on gold for most people. Now, if you can't afford an ounce of gold, you can buy it in grams. You can buy small amounts. You don't have to buy the expensive stuff. If you have a lot of gold already and you're looking to expand, you can get into collectibles. If you don't like collectibles, totally fine. I have wonderful luck with them. I would argue that the collectibles market is probably a bit more of a free market right now than the bullion, only because you don't have the COMEX, the traders on there with the ability to control that. But I understand that's not everybody's gig. You just want to go straight bullion. I'm totally down with that. Okay. And if you're interested, but gold should probably be a consideration for you. Again, I'm not your financial advisor. I can't tell you what to do, but it probably should be a strong consideration for you. Mondays, usually about 10:30 a.m. Central Time, I join something called a Spaces on Twitter, the Sound Money Spaces on Twitter. We'll repost that every Monday. I usually try to join every Monday at 10:30 a.m. Central Time, where we talk about this. And we had a great conversation about what's going to have value going forward with Daniel. We had a gold miner on there as well. If you want to learn about gold mining, where it comes from, we have all sorts of guests on that. Spaces with Daniel. He runs it and I join as a guest host, is another new form that we've put out there for you guys. We're trying to expand form to give you guys to interact with us in real time, interact with us on a community basis. Please join that Spaces as well. I'll highlight that probably on Thursday's program. That's also an option for you. We have great guests and we talk about it. And the thing that we're talking about Monday was the importance of gold and silver, and how that should really probably be a part of your portfolio going forward, because there's a lot less of it. We're not finding the big discoveries anymore from the mining perspective. It's going to become more and more and more rare. We're adding more people to the world, then we're adding proven and probable gold reserves. That means that this wonderful chart I could put up on screen for you that shows population and gold basically going like this over history. Here's population, here's gold. And that gap, that difference between population rising and gold reserves starting to fall is only going to add more scarcity to gold if you didn't think it was scarce already. All right, that's going to do it for today's program. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Thank you, everybody, for being on the program and voting in the poll. Stay tuned to the channel. We got our Thursday research piece coming up. We got Friday where we do the weekly metals wrap, and we've got 2 new communities for you. The Reddit community, United for Sound Money. That's United for Sound Money, as well as the Twitter Spaces that we do every Monday. Stay tuned to our Twitter for that. If you're interested, you can get on there and ask us questions. You can be completely anonymous if you want, no pictures, or you can just come and listen in to me and Daniel and all of the guests that we have on that show. Thank you so much for supporting the program, guys. You're why we do this. We appreciate it. God bless you. Have a wonderful day, and we will see you soon. Till next time, Rob Kientz, goldsilverpros.com.